folks, and welcome to another video. We're doing another apple tasting. These are a late variety. We are nearly into December. It's not long now to go, is it?
No, it's what is the date? I've put 23rd of November there, but it's actually the 24th.
Yeah. And we've got a selection here which I'm hoping are going to be nice and tasty, but we'll have to see. Before we actually get on with the tasting, I'm sorry for the lack of videos lately. We've been both very busy with jobs relating to gardening and personal life, but everything's moving forward, so we'll talk about that in another video.
Yeah.
So let's get on with these apples then, Nigel. What have you got?
Okay, well, just remind people that we're going to score each of these out of 5, giving a total out of 10 between us. 3 is an apple that's perfectly okay. It's not particularly good, it's not particularly bad. It's one that you'd eat without comment. One that we give a score of 2, that means that I couldn't eat a whole one. It's okay, but you wouldn't really want to eat much of it. 1 is an apple that's actively unpleasant. 4 is very good, and 5 is outstanding. Right, these are all late winter varieties. So they're keeping apples in the Maine, though there are 1 or 2 that don't keep that well. The first one we've got here is Adams per Maine. It's not a particularly good specimen, it's slightly distorted, but I was given that sample to identify, but it hasn't affected the flavour. So we can hopefully give a reasonably good report of this one. Crikey, look at that, all the juice. It's got a strange shape, Adams per Maine. You can see it's slightly elongated. It's supposed to be a good eating apple, a winter keeper.
It's the soft apple to get into. It's not going to do those of you with false teeth any problems.
It's slightly tart.
It's quite tasty, this one.
And there's plenty of flavour. There's a little bit of bitterness, so that's tannin. That's quite attractive.
Yeah, I quite like that one.
Yeah, I've got to give it at least a 4, I think. It's,
I'm going to give it a 4 as well.
Where's my, there's my pen. Let's just put that there a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, so very pleasant. I wouldn't mind a tree of that. So 4 and 4. Next one is an American apple. This is Burford's Red Flesh, which looks like that. Nice red skin. We have tasted this one before, last year. There you go. You'll remember the red fleshed apples are rather variable in quality, or eating quality. Some of them look better than they taste.
The skin's rather hard. Rather hard, isn't it?
It is, yes. It's quite.
It's a bit hard to chew.
Quite tough, yeah. It's a little bit like a cider apple. A bit sort of. The texture is a bit straw-like, really.
I'm going to give that a 2.
Yeah, I couldn't eat all of that.
No.
Definitely not. It's quite sweet, but it's got a bit of bitterness in it as well.
It's different.
I think I'll give it a 2. Yeah. The next one is Pippin. This is an apple from Warwickshire.
Now, isn't that funny? It's got a similar name to where our community garden is. It's not.
Yes, it is a similar name. This is Wyken, which is near Coventry, and the Wyken where the community garden is Wykin. So that's what it looks like. It's reputedly a pretty good eating apple. I think we tried one of these a little while ago, but this has been kept.
Yeah, I recognise the name.
Yeah, but this has been kept probably about 3 weeks. Some apples, not many, but some apples do actually improve on storage.
I think this is lovely.
That is slightly soft, but it's still a little bit crunchy. It's sweet.
I'm going to give that. It's a 4. I mean, possibly a 5, but
Yeah, it's. I think I like that. I think
yeah.
I'm going to give that a 5.
Yeah, I think you could be right. Put me down. Yeah.
4 or 5.
I think we'll put it down as a 5.
Yeah.
It is really nice.
It's not got such a strong flavour as a supermarket apple. It's not as sweet and it's not a strong flavour, but it's very, very pleasant.
Well, it's tastier than a supermarket.
It is. It's sort of the texture is better. Yeah, that's first class.
Have you got? Well, are these all ones what you've got, or are these somebody else's passed on?
The only one I've been given is that one, the Adams Pomaine.
Okay, the rest
all
you've
of the
grown
others
yourself.
I've grown myself. Yeah. This one is a bit of a bonus because you know the second plot at that nearby village that I've got, the new plot.
Yeah.
There's an old apple tree on it, and it's this.
Oh right,
And
that one was heavily loaded.
Yeah, and this is Newton Wonder. Okay, that's a Newton Wonder
Right.
apple. And I've not tasted this since I was about 10 years old. I've not even tried any off the tree, so this is my first tasting of it. They're supposed to be dual purpose.
Have you picked many of these?
I've got 4 trays of them. It's quite a big tree. I bet the tree is 60, 70 years old. I know it improves on storage, this one, so if it's not so good, we'll have another go in a few weeks.
Can we have another piece to try?
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough.
It starts off being a bit like a cooking apple, and as you keep it, it gets sweeter. Well, I quite like that. The taster is quite crunchy. It's still fairly tart.
Yeah.
It's not that sweet at the moment.
No, I think I'm going to give it a 3.
Yeah, I would. It's a sort of 3.5.
It is, but it's nearer a 3 than a 4.
It is, yeah. But I think that's going to get better. So we'll try that again in December.
Perhaps we could put, unless you can remember, we could put a little mark or something to make so you don't forget. And
Well, I keep these sheets, so
Yeah.
if I put
an asterisk or something.
yeah, let's put that there. So that's to look at again later. So 3, 3.
Yeah. It's interesting, Nigel, how our tastes are very similar.
Yeah, they
Isn't
are.
that strange?
But I think when you've tasted a lot of apples, it becomes fairly clear which ones are commercially possibly okay, and which ones are not going to make it. You know, it's. Though we did differ on the little American one.
Made me
the
my
Whipton.
teeth, the one where the teeth popped out.
Yeah. Well, we'll possibly have another go at that later. I've still got a few of those left.
Yeah.
Because that could have been a freak result. Right, next one. MM106. Now this apple, MM106, can you remember what that is? Have you come across that before?
I can't remember.
Because that's the only name that this apple's got. Well, it's actually a rootstock apple. If you get a rootstock of MM106 and you don't graft it, you just let it grow into a tree on its own, that's the fruit that you get. And you can see it's fairly green. So let's see if it's any good. There you go.
Thank you.
You know, Julie, I've made a silly mistake here. That's not MM106, that's Darcy Spice. They look very similar. I'm going to nip to the garage and I'm going to replace it.
Okay, that's all right.
Fine.
I don't mind trying an extra apple.
Okay.
Not bad anyway, folks.
I must have set this up in a little bit too much of a rush this morning. That's what I wanted.
Right.
Okay, so
Very
let's
similar.
remove that.
Yeah.
As a matter of interest, what would you give that one?
It's not bad. Between a 3 and a 4.
Because last time we saw it, we did that about 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and I think it scored 3 and 3, which was 6.
Yeah.
And I thought it's a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this is the MM106. There we go. The ancestry of MM106. It's actually a rootstock apple, but it's got a sort of crab apple in its ancestry. So it's Northern Spy, which is an American eater, crossed with English broadleaf. Right, let's see if this is any good. This is usually fairly tart at this time of year, but it does improve. And I do actually grow a tree of this for its fruit.
Very crunchy apple.
It's quite hard. It's nowhere near as sweet as the one we just tried, but it will sweeten up a bit. And some of you that have seen some of our other videos, I mentioned that before, I think, that I do vitamin C testing of apples, and that one, MM106, is very high. Well, at the moment I give it a 3, but I think it's going to get better.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? About a 3?
Yeah, definitely no more.
Yeah, I could certainly eat a whole one of that. And I think in a month's time that'll be quite good and sweet, and a fairly concentrated flavour too. The next one is an apple which we found growing wild in the roadside near Mere in Wiltshire, and we really rate this for flavour. It hangs on the tree very late. I usually pick mine in late November, but sometimes these have been known to hang on the tree until February.
And is there a reason why there's 2 of those?
Yeah, I set up in a bit of a rush and I was slightly flustered.
Right.
Yeah. So there we go. Yeah, we have been a bit busy. I was giving an apple talk last night to with Alison in Malton, in Northampton, or near Northampton, and there were over 100 people. It was really quite well received, so we're really pleased about that. Now look how white the flesh is there, really white. And it has this netting pattern on it. It's like russet, but it's patchy, which is often seen in the best eating apples.
It's a crunchy apple, and the skin's a bit on the tough side.
Yeah, true.
I'm just going to give it a 3.
Yeah. It's not quite ready. It usually gets a bit sweeter. I'm going to give it a 4. So 3 and 4, giving 7. Grenadine. We've met this one before. This is one of those red-fleshed apples from California, bred by Albert Etter. And it does tend to go bitter on storage, unfortunately. You can see how red it is inside. Let's see what you reckon. It's highly variable, this apple. Sometimes it's very good, often it's a bit bitter. And if you store it more than about 3 weeks, it goes very bitter. It's slightly soft.
It's the softest one so far.
Yeah, there's hardly any acid in it. It reminds me a little bit of watermelon.
I'm just going to give it a 3.
Yeah. Well, it looks fantastic, but it doesn't taste any better than about a 3 or a 3.5. I'm going to give it a 3 as well. But you can see it's spectacular colour, and there are instances in cooking or in a fruit salad or something where that would really make the food look brighter.
In fact, it's a bit misleading looking at the outside, isn't it? If you didn't know it was a red-fleshed apple and you bought a load of those,
yeah,
and you opened it up, you might think, God, what's happened there? You know, if they're not seen a red-fleshed apple before.
yes, that's very true. Yeah, there are two sorts of red-fleshed apples. There are ones where you've got the deep red skin,
Yeah.
and we call those Hansen type. And then there are these which are not red-skinned but red in the middle, and they're called Etta type, after the person that bred a number of this type of apple. In fact, Etta bred that one. But there are Etta type apples that Etta did not breed. Right, next one we've got is West Virginia Sweet. I really like this apple, but there's a serious disadvantage to it, or actually two serious disadvantages. It's badly biennial, so you only tend to get apples every other year. And the other thing about the tree is it's a tip bearer, so it is very difficult to restrict the size without cutting all the fruit buds off. It's very difficult. But it does have usually a nice flavour.
And quite big size.
Oh yeah, they're nice, and they're very attractive apple. I mean, you just imagine if you had a tree loaded with those every year. But unfortunately, getting fruit every year is not realistic with this variety.
No.
It's got a slight greenish tinge to the flesh, and it's got a very curious aftertaste. It tastes of violets, and it's very sweet and quite soft, and there's no acid in it, or very little. What do you reckon to that one? Oh, I love this one. You want a bit more?
It's alright, a bit got stuck in my throat.
I thought it was poisoning you.
Right, no, very nice. Yeah.
That is soft, pleasant. Once people like this, if it was in a supermarket, they'd sell out really quickly. You can guess what I'm going to give it.
I think it's a 5.
Yeah, I reckon it's a 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a brilliant apple.
Yeah.
It's such a pity that it has those disadvantages. There is a similar apple called West Virginia Beauty, which we also have, and that has not quite as good a flavour, but it gives a crop every year, and that's probably a good substitute for that one. That will. In fact, I've got a West Virginia Beauty. I'll just go and get it.
Yeah,
we only had one on the tree this year.
Oh, right.
We only had one on the tree because, unfortunately, it's a little tree in a pot, and it'll go in the ground soon, and we will get more. But this is West Virginia Beauty, and last year it had a similar flavour. I wonder if it has this year. Well, it's pretty similar, isn't it? But it's not as good.
No. The skin's a bit.
Yeah, the skin's tougher. The flavour is basically the same, but it's weaker, and it's not.
Weaker, only a 3, I think.
Yeah, 3 or a 4. So I won't put that on the score sheet.
No.
The advantage of this one, though, is that although it's not quite as good, you get a crop every year, and it's not a tip bearer, so it's a compromise. Right, the Durant Apple. This is a little apple from Norfolk, found by Brian Durant, so that's why we've called it the Durant Apple, found in a hedgerow. And it has basically the same violets flavour as the West Virginia Sweet. It usually needs storing for a few weeks to get to its best. These have only been off the tree about 3 days. Yeah, it's basically a similar flavour to this one, but at the moment it's not quite sweet enough and it's slightly bitter. How do you reckon that one? Not so good.
No, it's no more than 3.
Okay. So 3 for you. I'd give it about a 3.5, but we can't use fractions, so I'll give it a 3 as well.
Yeah.
But it should improve. Pink Pearl. This is another of Albert Etter's apples. This is the only one that was released commercially. It is a red-fleshed apple with a reasonably mainstream flavour, which is why he released it. It was only picked 2 days ago, and it's slightly early to eat it. You can see there we are, the red flesh. It's not coloured up fully, this one. Any good?
I'm going to give that a 2.
It's not ready, is it? Oof, a bit tart, that is. It hit me all of a sudden. I'll give it a 3. It's got a sort of citrusy tang to it, but it's a bit strong at the moment. That keeps really well. It usually keeps until about, well, certainly until our grafting courses, which is February. So we'll try that again next month. Next one is May Queen. This is an apple from Worcestershire. A nice red outside. There are similarities between this and Ribston Pippin in a good year. Usually quite sweet. And this was picked about a fortnight ago. Just before our talk last night at Moulton, a guy asked me about this apple because we did an apple tasting there, and he asked me if it was a Worcester Maine. It looks quite similar to Worcester Maine, but it's later and it stores.
Just a 3 from me.
Yeah, okay. It's sweet. A bit of a letdown, really. It's got.
It's gone. It can go. The skin's good on it. It breaks down nicely, but taste-wise,
Yeah,
no.
the taste-wise, in a good year, it's rather like a Ribston, very rich flavour. But this year, it's a bit empty somehow, a bit weak. I think I'll give it a 4, but it's a sort of low 4. So you say a 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. And our last apple this morning is an old favourite. We've seen this before. This is Hidden Rose, another red-fleshed apple with a strange shape. You can see the shape of it is like that. It's slightly elongated, like the Adams Pomaine, and it's coloured quite brightly. It's an Etta type apple, though Etta did not breed this one as far as we know.
So why is it?
Well, it's Etta type.
Oh, I see. A
because
type.
because it's got it's a sort of
the cover. Yeah,
green skin and red inside.
Yeah.
In fact, if you look closely at the skin, you can see the pink is sort of coming through.
I noticed it. Yeah.
Yeah, sort of the skin is semi-transparent.
Okay.
Oh dear, I've dropped it.
I'm just going to give that 2.
It's not as good as normal. Usually that's got a nice sweetness about it, but this doesn't appear to have ripened quite as it should have done. It may improve on storage, but it may merely go mealy on storage. I don't think it's had enough sunshine. So I'm going to give it a 3. It's okay, but I wouldn't want to eat 2 of them. I could just about eat that, I think. So 2 and 3, that's 5. As usual, I'll put a red mark next to the red-fleshed ones. So that's that one. That one. And the red-fleshed ones have all scored 6 or less.
Yeah.
Average of about 5 this time. So these red-fleshed ones have not performed as well this year. Though in other years they may well do much better. Yeah, so it's all weather dependent. Right, now where's
just
my...
looking at those, so we've got the... Yeah, so I'm just trying to... that's that one. I'm just trying to see the ones what we've scored high, where they are from. Whether it's the two, there's the Viking Pippin.
Yeah, that's Midlands, isn't it? The Viking Pippin.
And the other 10 was
that's
from the US.
USA, yes.
Hmm.
We've got an Adams per Maine, I think that's Midlands. Mere Pippin is Wiltshire, that got a 7. And May Queen is Worcester. Yeah, there's no obvious link, is there?
There isn't, no.
No. But one or two of those showed signs of being slightly too tart and not sweet enough, which usually means either that they've been picked too early. Well, I had to pick them because they were coming off the tree. So I picked too early, or there's not been enough sunshine. Anyway, there we go. Is that in view? Can I see that?
Yes, they can, clear as anything.
Good, that's excellent.
Yeah.
So there we go, folks.
Tea now.
Anything else to say? Anything else to say?
Not about the apples, I don't think, Nigel.
Okay.
Is this the last lot, do you think, now for the season?
There might be one more tasting, I think.
Yeah.
Because we've got a few varieties we've not seen yet.
Right.
And some of these might be worth revisiting.
So this will be the 4th, won't it?
Yes, that's the 4th
48
this year.
then. Last year we actually did 72.
Mm.
Yeah.
But this year, many of the earlier ones just rotted because of sawfly.
Yeah.
We didn't really get the chance to get it.
Yeah, the brown rot and...
Yeah, it was awful.
It was...
So we're going to have to do something about that. Oh, by the way, if anyone else is concerned about sawfly, there is a recommended chemical treatment for it now. We don't actually know how good it's going to be, but the treatment is spraying with deltamethrin. And there is a spray made by Bayer that's got deltamethrin in it. So I recommend you have a look on the internet.
Is that... it's not organic?
It's not organic, no. But with the early apples, I actually lost this year about 80% of the crop.
Yeah.
So
you've got to
you've got
make compromise at some point, don't you?
Well, yes, you do, because if you just let these little insects have their way, eventually it gets worse and worse year on year, and eventually you get no crop at all on certain trees.
Yeah.
But don't put the spray on. Well, what it says on the internet is spray at petal fall. So don't wait until the apples start to swell up. If you're going to use the spray, make sure you put it on really early so that by the time the fruit has formed, the chemical has disappeared.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, folks. So that's. I hope you've enjoyed this latest apple tasting. It's certainly had its ups and downs, but there's been a couple of lovely ones. We'll maybe catch you again shortly with another apple tasting, or...
Oh, and we've got the planting at Botcherston possibly tomorrow. Not tomorrow, Saturday.
Saturday, yeah. So there'll be another video coming up.
Yeah.
Well, we're on Thursday today, so
Yeah.
this will go up today. So in a couple of days' time, there'll be another video going up.